So I was recently filming a podcast for Happy Hour, coming soon, and my guest was saying that she actually will mix up the coffee shop she goes to if she feels she's going to one too many days in a row. And I said, hey, we're in a judgment-free zone, but that's crazy. You can't live your life that way. We were living that way in our drinking days when we were beaten down, but we're stronger now. She's 5 years sober. She said, well, that's just who I am. I said, I can't accept it. I know, just you're going 5 years doing hard things every day, but you need to do harder ones. You've got to strengthen that cortex to get to the point it can just tell that midbrain to shut F up. That midbrain is the troublemaker. You know what happens when we fear judgment is it activates the amygdala, which is the midbrain, and that's the brain's fear center. And it activates a fight or flight response, and the stress hormones kick in, which releases cortisol, and that inhibits the good old prefrontal cortex, where we do our rational thinking, where our strongest selves are, that we rediscover in sobriety. But we've got to do hard things sober to continually strengthen it, including immersion therapy. I said, listen, I want you to go back there every single day and just think, who cares? Because I guarantee they don't care. People are all way too busy thinking about themselves. You know, a great quote is, you'd worry less about what others think of you if you realized how seldom they do. They're thinking about themselves. You know, it's so funny. We used to, as people, we'd vary which liquor store we'd go to, or when we would go, we'd fear judgment. For me, it'd be a jackpot if there was a new clerk that didn't know me. And I'd sometimes go out of my way to go to a convenience store just because I didn't know the clerks there. Or I cared less about what they thought than the clerks at the liquor store near my pizza shop. But who cares? Just like lying to our doctors, lying to our therapists. Who cares? Especially them. That's their job, is to be judgment-free and to just try and help you. So please, I beg of everyone, adopt the mindset. There's a term called emotional immaturity. It's when the input of others almost totally determines how we feel about ourselves. When you look to others for a feeling of self-worth, belonging, and self-esteem. When you depend on others to tell you how to feel about yourself. And it's a stage in recovery which almost everyone passes through, and it can inhibit a happy sobriety or lead to relapse. So that's why it's so important to do the work. As I say all the time, that's what the work does. It strengthens the frontal cortex to fight off the midbrain, which is also where all your cravings come from. And there's no willpower in the midbrain. It's key. And by the way, side note, you've also got to get rid of your judgmental friends. I had to do that recently, just divorced one that's, judges everything I do. And that made me more judgmental of myself. Not healthy. And a better way of saying, I just defined emotional immaturity, but then emotional maturity is when the input of others doesn't have an impact, much if at all, on how you feel about yourself. It's so important to this process. Who cares? That's a mantra I adopted from woman Caroline on Survivor. And it's a great one to have in recovery. Life is short. Who cares? If you died and then the God said, hey, I'm going to give you a chance, I'm going to send you back, I promise you'd care a heck of a lot less. And that is how you should live your life anyway. I know it's easier said than done, but make it a goal. Try to keep it in front of mind. Practice it every day and keep doing hard things sober and strengthening that cortex so you can continually just say, who cares? The only one you need to impress is yourself as you get better every day. All right, that'll do it. Stronger, sober. Please like, share, subscribe.